Just disappointed. I thought we had so many opportunities over the last 3 games to win. But listen, you got to give Denver credit. They kept playing, they kept executing, they kept playing together. So right now it's just disappointment. Honestly, I thought you could just see the difference in the 2 teams. That team's been together. We haven't, and you can see it as the games went on. They just knew each other so well. I thought offensively, even though listen, we had great shots. Great shots all night. I still didn't think we trusted. We did at the beginning of the game. We did coming out of the 3rd quarter. We got a 7-point lead. But right when they put pressure on us, honestly, I just thought we didn't come through. I'm the coach, and I'll take any blame for it. But we didn't meet our expectations, clearly. Because we had, in my opinion, we'd still be playing. Well, Game 7 is our make-miss game at the end of the day. I don't think it was those 2. I just think as a group, it wasn't just those 2. If you look at our shot quality, it was pretty dang good. But the ball didn't go in. And on those nights, you hoped that you can lean on your defense. And I just didn't think, even though numbers say we were a good defensive team, I just didn't think we ever realized that part of our game at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, spam it up in the comment section, especially if you were here for our first video of the day, because today we were supposed to take a day off, but instead I am bringing you a ultra rare double upload day. So spam it up if you're in here in the first video, because the grind never stops. And before we get to the content, make sure you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe and turn on my notifications to help the channel grow, and make sure you're entered in my PS5 giveaway. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, I was doing some research today on the Doc Rivers situation, and it's really interesting because I found out another reason why he may have gotten fired. Apparently, a huge reason why Steve Ballmer wanted Doc Rivers gone, and it was kind of like a knee-jerk reaction to the fact that the Clippers weren't able to make it to the Western Conference Finals. The main reason he got fired was apparently Steve Ballmer, and this sounds like such a Steve Ballmer thing to do, invested very heavily in a state-of-the-art analytics department for his head coaching staff. And one of the analytics suggested that when the Clippers were playing Ivica Zubac against the Denver Nuggets, they were plus 10 in a net rating. For some reason, however, Doc Rivers wanted to play Montrezl Harrell against the Nuggets, and they were minus 30 as a result of that. And as a result of this, Steve Ballmer apparently got really upset. And despite Doc Rivers thinking that he was okay, he ended up getting fired. And I did some more digging, and the more digging I did, I found out something that I really hope wasn't true, because this actually infuriated me, and I never even paid attention to this little detail, and I would fire my coach outright if this was the case. Apparently, in the 2018 NBA draft, the Los Angeles Clippers had a 12th overall pick and a 13th overall pick, and they used the 12th overall pick on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which ended up being a phenomenal pick. And the 13th overall pick, there was a little bit of a argument going on in the front office and Steve Ballmer and Doc Rivers about whether they should draft Michael Porter Jr. or someone else, that someone else being Jerome Robinson. Ballmer really wanted Michael Porter Jr., because Steve Ballmer runs Microsoft. Microsoft is based in Seattle, and Michael Porter Jr. played high school ball in Seattle. So it kind of makes sense why Ballmer wanted him so badly. And at the end, they decided to go with Jerome Robinson, and I guess that just added more fuel to the fire. And it didn't take Doc Rivers a long time to find himself another job, because he was just named the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. So we got to digest this a little bit, because The Philadelphia 76ers are in a significantly different situation than the Los Angeles Clippers were. And I know a lot of Clippers fans are going to be up in here saying Doc Rivers is a horrible coach. The Philadelphia 76ers made a huge mistake. They should have hired Mike D'Antoni. The fact of the matter is, this is probably the best hire for the Philadelphia 76ers. And here's why. First of all, Doc Rivers is probably the most reputable name. And whether you like him or not, hiring Doc Rivers resulted in a huge change of the culture of the Los Angeles Clippers. Literally, they hired Doc Rivers, they brought in Chris Paul, they brought in JJ Redick, they had DeAndre Jordan develop even further. Prior to that, they were playing very one-dimensional basketball with Blake Griffin, and it was very entertaining, but it was very one-dimensional to say the least. Now, sure, both of his teams, both eras of the Clippers fell short of expectations, and yeah, sure, he could have gotten way more out of the talent that he was given. And yeah, he did make a huge mistake by not just following basic analytics and just going with Ivica Zubac over Montrezl Harrell. And I'm sure there were other variables that factored in as well. But at the end of the day, when you're the Philadelphia 76ers, you're not really trying to compete for championships right now. You're just trying to find a system that works. And in a situation where Elton Brand completely destroyed the process, completely just gutted the team of its assets, and literally put all his chips to the table and went all in on a Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris trade, and then when Jimmy Butler walked away, went and signed a player that was way past his prime to a huge contract just because that player was capable of guarding Joel Embiid. I'm talking about Al Horford. This is probably the best hire that you could go with, because I feel like Doc Rivers will be able to construct a game plan that is helpful for both Joel Embiid's skill set and that could also utilize Ben Simmons' skill set. Now, as to the Los Angeles Clippers, I don't know who their next head coach is going to be, but the thing is, when I heard Steve Ballmer embrace analytics this much, I can't help but wonder whether he'll be crazy enough to offer Mike D'Antoni a head coaching job. And it's kind of interesting in the sense that Mike D'Antoni could be kind of the inverse of what Doc Rivers was. You see, Doc Rivers was all about defense, was all about load management and making sure the players are as rested as they possibly could be so they could potentially play to their best. But Mike D'Antoni's system is much more about pace and space and much less about defense. But that can be very interesting when you have two players that are really good two-way players. So that's just a theory of mine, and there's no real substance to it. It could be a horrible idea out of that, but I thought I'd just give you guys that as well. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about this brand new hire by the Philadelphia 76ers? Do you think they knocked it out of the park? Do you think they should have hired maybe Ty Lue or Mike D'Antoni instead? If so, tell me why in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy, TheFlightMike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.